जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna and welcome back. Thank you for joining. Today we are discussing verse number 59 of chapter number 2 from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And in the previous verse, verse number 58, Krishna answers the third question of Arjuna. So in verse 54, Arjuna asked four different questions. The first one was, what are the symptoms of Sthitapagya? How does he speak? How does he sit? And how does he walk? So in verse number 58, Krishna is answering that how does Sthitapagya is situated when his senses are withdrawn from the sense object. So Krishna says in verse number 58 that one who is able to withdraw his senses from the sense object, that person is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. And then Krishna gives the example of a tortoise, how tortoise is able to pull away all the limbs. So similarly, a Sthitapagya is able to withdraw his senses from the sense object. But this alone is not enough. So what needs to be done is explained in today's verse. So let's see. Today's verse is a very important verse for any transcendentalist who is trying to practice Krishna consciousness or any kind of yoga. So let's read chapter number 2, verse number 59. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishta nivartate. The embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense object remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So let's understand the Sanskrit terms. First line is Vishaya vinivartante. So Vishaya means sense objects, and vinivartante means to withdraw or to stay away from the sense object. And then second line is niraharasya dehinam. So generally the word ahara is related to food. So ahara means food. But for the conditioned soul, the sense objects are like the food. And when one doesn't get the sense object, one may get the feeling that I am not getting any kind of food or I am not getting any ahara. Like in the state of fasting, we feel agitated. So similarly, our senses become agitated when we are not fed with the sense objects. So the ahara is, but this ahara, the sense object, the ahara of the sense object, this is not essential. It's not essential ahara. Many times what we mistake is, we mistake the essential, the irresistible to be essential. We think something which is irresistible is as an essential. So the irresistible is not necessarily essential. So what is the difference between irresistible and essential? So essential means things that without which we cannot live. For example, food, water, air, sleep, and all these things. They are essential things. We need them. If we do not have food or water for some time, then we can't live. But irresistible is something without which we can survive. It is actually a push which we experience in mind, and we may feel that it is a necessity. For example, an alcoholic feels that alcohol is irresistible, and the alcoholic may also feel that I cannot survive without the alcohol. But that is not true. Same is the case of the drug addicts. They feel without this drug I am not able to live. So similarly, in the case of the senses and the sense objects, When we are in the mode of passion and ignorance and attacked by lust or desire, what seems irresistible to us is actually not essential. At that point of time, we may be feeling that it is essential. We have to satisfy our senses, but it is not true. So as we gradually move to the mode of either goodness or transcendence, then we realize that we don't need this. Whatever sense gratification which we were craving for, we don't need this. So rising to the mode of goodness or transcendence, we can actually purify this craving or the feeling of necessity. So here Krishna is talking about niraharasya. Niraharasya means the feeling of that I cannot live without this particular sense object. And in the next line Krishna is saying rasa varjam rasopyasya. What does it mean? So rasa varjam means one has stopped indulging in it, and rasopyasya means the taste is still there. I still need it. I can't live without it. So what is the exact problem? The problem is a person is restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste of the sense object is still there in the heart. So what is the solution? So solution is given by Krishna in the last line. Param drishtva nivartate. So param means it's basically far superior or higher. So when a person gets higher taste, then he can give it up. That's the meaning. So Srila Prabhupada translates the param as superior or far superior. You can see over here it's written as far superior thing. And drishtva over here is Prabhupada translating as higher taste. So taste means Prabhupada is translating drishtva as taste. But the meaning of the word drishtva is actually not taste actually. The meaning of drishta is sight or vision. And then finally the last word is nivartate. So nivartate means one gives that up and has no longer want for it. So earlier Krishna is using the term vinivartante. So one gives it up, but the taste is there and one wants it again. Nivartate means one gives it up and they don't want it anymore. So param drishtva nivartate would mean higher vision or higher perception. Right? So why Srila Prabhupada translates it as higher taste. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, he very nicely explains that the experience of spiritual, or when we have a spiritual experience, it is beyond the senses. It is atindriyam. Atindriyam means it is beyond the senses. So happiness in Krishna consciousness is beyond the senses. It is transcendental happiness. The senses acts as a gateway to the experience of the spiritual happiness. But the source of happiness is actually Krishna. So the source is Krishna, and the experience of Krishna is not just sensory, but it is trans-sensory. So here in this picture we nicely see that in the left side of the picture is a yogi is trying to meditate, but in the heart the taste is still there. But here the person is engaging in service of Krishna and experiencing some happiness in doing anything. So that experience of Krishna is not just sensory, but it is trans-sensory. It is spiritual happiness. When we perform any service to Krishna, the experience which we get, though it is going through the senses, but it is actually the soul is experiencing happiness, and that experience of happiness is actually Krishna. So the experience is a soul coming in contact with Krishna, and it is completely spiritual. So Srila Prabhupada is translating that happiness or the experience of that happiness of the soul coming in contact with Krishna as the higher taste, higher or richer experience. So Krishna is telling here that when we experience higher happiness or higher taste, then we can become peaceful. Our mind is no more agitated. Or basically, this is not looking for any kind of happiness in the material realm. So here we see the devotees in the picture doing various things. They are engaging in service. Somebody is doing deity service, somebody is doing cutting or cooking, somebody is doing washing, somebody is eating prasadam, somebody is doing cleaning. So any of this experiences when the person is performing service, the soul within the body is coming in contact with Krishna. Of course, all the senses are engaged, but they are not the primary source of happiness. The primary source of happiness is Krishna. The soul coming in contact with Krishna, that is the primary source of happiness. So otherwise, if we try to just restrain our senses, it will be self-torture. Or here, the yogi is trying to restrain the senses, but it is self-torture. So restraint is just the beginning, and we have to say no to the negative and also say yes to the positive. And saying yes to the positive means it is the development of the higher taste, and that higher taste is developed when the senses are engaged in the service of the master of the senses. Krishna is the master of our senses, Rishikesha. So bhakti is nothing but Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Using your senses, you serve the master of the senses, Rishikesha. So Rishikena means your senses, and Rishikesha is Krishna. So when we engage our senses, then when we engage our senses in service of Krishna, then the soul comes in contact with Krishna, and that happiness which is derived is the higher or richer taste or higher experience. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is translating this verse as by experiencing higher taste, then he becomes fixed in consciousness. Param drishtva nivartate. So then he doesn't want to enjoy the material. He has given it up, and he doesn't want to enjoy it anymore. He doesn't want, or he doesn't have any kind of craving for the material happiness anymore. So two things are required. One is you have to restrict, but then the next step is engage into higher taste. So if we are engaging in higher taste, higher perceptions, then what will happen? When we come in contact with Krishna, we get so much happiness, we experience so much happiness that we lose the taste of material happiness. So this is the sum and substance of this particular verse. Now let's see what Srila Prabhupada has to explain in this purport. So before that, I'll just recap over here. So the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment. So is here the yogi is trying to restrict his senses, though the taste for sense object remains. So there is taste in the heart, and that taste in the heart is actually going to bring, or it will ignite, it acts as a fuel, and it will ignite our tendency to enjoy the senses. But when we have the higher taste, when the soul comes in contact with Krishna while doing the services, it experiences the higher taste. So when it experiences the higher taste, it easily gives up all this lower taste. But by ceasing such engagement, by experiencing higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So when he experiences by engaging in the service of Krishna and experiences the higher taste, That's the time he becomes fixed in Krishna consciousness or transcendental consciousness. Now let's see what Srila Prabhupada is giving in the purport. Restraining is difficult because the taste of sense objects still remains. Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. It is highly impossible. Because, we can restrain ourselves, and it is required to restrain. But if we are not saying yes to the positive, we are just saying no to the negative, then we don't have any place to go actually for looking for happiness. Because the soul by definition is Anandamaya. Anandamaya Abhyasat is looking for happiness. We are Sat Chit Ananda. Our composition is we are happy. And we are looking for happiness. We are looking for ways to acquire happiness. So if we don't have knowledge about Krishna consciousness, or we can derive happiness from Krishna consciousness, then what do? We try to get happiness from the material things. That is what happens. So let's say you stop deriving happiness from the material things, then it's a self-torture. You cannot remain just restrained in a restrained situation for a long time. So it's a self-torture. And also it can cause mental disease. So we need some positive engagements. So that's what the positive engagement is here. Prabhupada is saying, unless one is transcendentally situated or engaged in transcendental connection with Krishna, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulation is something like restricting a diseased person from certain kind of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restriction nor loses his taste for eatables. So it's a nice example given. When somebody is sick, we may restrict the person, like somebody having diabetes, and the person likes to eat sweet. But because the person has diabetes, he doesn't eat, but he really loves it, and whenever he gets chance, he will pounce upon it. So the taste is there for whom it is recommended. So what is recommended over here? For the sense restriction, for whom this is recommended. So similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyana, etc. is recommended for less intelligent person who have no better knowledge. So somebody who doesn't have knowledge about Krishna and the Krishna consciousness process and how much happiness one can derive while engaging in service of Krishna, for them this process is recommended. What is the higher taste? But one who has tasted the beauty of Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has taste for dead material things. So this matter which we are trying to enjoy is actually dead. Matter is dead and soul is alive. We are conscious. Matter is having no consciousness, and we are generally trying to attain happiness from non-conscious things, and which will never satisfy us. So therefore Prabhupada says that no longer has a taste for dead material things. When is restriction applicable? Therefore restrictions are there for less intelligent neophytes. Neophyte means somebody who is beginners in spiritual advancement of life. But such restrictions are only good until one actually has taste for Krishna consciousness. So until and unless somebody has tasted Krishna consciousness, this is good. In the beginning it is good. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things. So this material enjoyment of the matter is actually pale in taste compared to the taste derived in coming in contact with Krishna, right? So when actually somebody comes in contact with Krishna, then he automatically loses the taste for matter. So this is what is described in this verse, and this is in the flow format, where embodied soul is restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste still remains, and then he can easily give it up by developing higher taste, and then he can be fixed in consciousness. So this is a picture which is showing that how a person can be engaged in Krishna's service and develop that higher taste. And the taste remain is shown over here. There are many examples in the scriptures, where the rishis have meditated for thousands of years, and when some kind of sense enjoyment was presented in front of them, they immediately forgot what they have practiced for so many years, and they started enjoying the material sense objects. So this is discussed in this particular verse, and all the points discussed is put in this presentation format. And in the next verse we'll see that Krishna is going to explain that how strong and impetuous these senses are. So one must be very careful about the engaging in material sense gratifications. So we'll stop here. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.